Water is one of the oldest commons known to humanity. It's not the invention of a nation, not the brand of a company, and not an appendix to a contract. Water existed long before us, and it will exist long after us. But today, saying this is no longer enough. Because the truth is simple and uncomfortable. Capitalism reached water a long time ago. Water is now discussed in economic reports, development strategies, and corporate presentations as a resource to be managed. This language is not neutral. The moment something is defined as a resource to be managed, it becomes something to be measured, priced, and eventually sold.
Aslında diferansiyel erozyon denilen şey şu.
The anarchist thinker Peter Kropotkin in Mutual Aid described elements essential to life, such as water, land, and air, as part of humanity's shared inheritance. For him, the privatization of these commons was not a natural development, but the result of power relations imposed on society. What we are witnessing today is exactly that. Capitalism first reached land, then labor, then housing, and eventually water. I'm currently living in Vietnam, and what I observe here is a public oriented, socialist state response to this global trend. Vietnam's path is distinctive. After winning a long and devastating war against the United States imperialism, the country didn't convert that victory into uncontrolled capitalist transformation. Instead, it preserved its socialist state structure while introducing market mechanism in a limited and tightly regulated way. Vietnam entered globalization cautiously, without closing itself off from the world, but without handing the case over to corporations. In academic literature, this approach is often described as state controlled market socialism or measured global integration. This political choice is clearly reflected in Vietnam's water policies. In Vietnam, water is treated as a public resource, both legally and politically. This is not a technical detail, it is an ideological position. In a socialist state framework, essential elements of life are not left to the market. The role of the state is not to sell water, but to protect it, regulate it, and manage it on behalf of society. Are private actors completely excluded? No. But they are not at the center. The center remains public authority. And that distinction matters because whoever stands at the center determines everything else. The ecological thinker Murray Bookchin argued that ecological crises are not only environmental problems but social ones. According to him, treating nature according to market logic inevitably reproduces hierarchy, domination, and destruction. Vietnam's approach to water, seeing it as a shared responsibility rather than a commodity, aligns closely with this perspective. Now, let us compare this with the Philippines. In the late 1990s, water management in Metro Manila was largely transferred to private companies. This was a textbook neoliberal reform. The state stepped back and corporations stepped forward. As a result, water ceased to be treated primarily as a public service. It became the subject of long term commercial contracts.
Sözlü kültürün metinlerine baktım. İngilizceye çevrilmiş olanlarına baktım.
Access to water increasingly depended not on need but on ability to pay. This model has been widely examined and criticized in academic research because it reveals a fundamental contradiction on one side, water as a basic human necessity, on the other, corporate profit targets. These two priorities cannot coexist peacefully. Ivan Illich warned that modern industrial systems remove people from control over their own basic needs, transferring them to institutional and professional structures. Water privatization is one of the clearest expressions of the process. What was once a shared condition of life becomes something mediated by bills, contracts, and corporate decisions. At this point, a simple but unsettling question must be asked. Is selling God's water a fair form of trade? Rain falls, groundwater forms, rivers flow from mountains and forests. Where is corporate labor in this process? Where is the moral basis for ownership? Building a factory at the source of a spring, bottling that water, and then selling it back to people. This is not merely a legal issue, it's a moral one. Capitalism attempts to resolve this contradiction through language. We are not selling water, it says. We are selling services, packaging, distribution. But the outcome doesn't change. Access to water becomes conditional on money. The Philippine case shows this clearly. When water is handed over to the market, life itself becomes constrained by contractual logic. Vietnam, despite its limitations and challenges, attempts to keep water outside that logic. This is not accidental. It reflects a socialist understanding of public responsibility.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Today, when global discussions focus on water crisis, attention is often limited to climate change, but anarchist ecology reminds us that crisis also exists in power relations. Who controls water? For whom is it managed? According to which priorities? That is the real question. The Philippines serves as a warning. Vietnam demonstrates that a public centered alternative is still possible.
Dünyanın en güzel ülkelerinden biri.
This issue is not limited to these two countries. Viewers in Turkey and elsewhere are already familiar with the same debates. The same logic appears everywhere in the world. So, we must return to the foundation of the question. Water is not a product. Water is not an investment asset. Water is a human right. And human rights are not for sale. Living in Vietnam has made one thing clear to me. A socialist state, even under global capitalist pressure, can still attempt to keep water within the realm of life, not profit. That effort deserves recognition because protecting water is ultimately about protecting life itself.